Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone, and happy Friday. Thank you guys for coming to another episode at the Breakfast Show with Marisha LaShay. I'm so ecstatic that you guys are here on this beautiful Friday morning. Today is April 25th, 2025. This is day 25 of the Breakfast Show with Marisha LaShay. This show will only have 5 more days of coming forth before you guys. Thank you guys for the support and thank you guys for all that you have done in this moment. Come on, for all of my newcomers and returners. Welcome as always. Thank you guys for tuning in this morning. So, first and foremost, give an honor to God, who is the head of my life. Second thing, just being grateful for my goals being met. And what I mean by my goals being met is I had a goal of reaching a greater audience in other countries, as well as increasing my amount of people who are listening across all platforms. And as of today, I currently have 26 countries that I am currently being heard in. And I also have over 1,600 listeners that are actively listening and engaging with the podcast. So, you guys, I say all of that to say thank you guys so much for the support and God just making it possible, and you guys just being able to support me, which allows me to continue to keep going on. It keeps building my momentum. It keeps just giving me the motivation that I need to keep moving forward and keep producing content and just thinking about and pushing myself out of the norm into greater limits. So, you all, with that being said, I just want to talk a little bit about the months that we show up for the breakfast show. It only happens in the months that have 30 days, which was an idea that I adopted from my dad. And I thought it was definitely a really good move to make. But also, the breakfast show would not be possible without the motivation and the support from my father as well. With him being able to be my soundboard and being able to kind of talk through this and brainstorm with and about the breakfast show with Marisha LaShay. So I say all of that to say, it started. This show started during COVID, and when this show started during COVID, we've made it all the way into 2025, which will be celebrating 5 years come November 1st, 2025. So, y'all, with that being said, I say all of that to say that never stop believing, never stop making plans and execute them. Execution, value someone, and even if you can't find anyone or someone, talk to God. You know what I'm saying? Because God gave you the vision for a reason. He gave you the thought for a reason. And He wanted you to do something with it. So I'm going to go ahead and keep moving. I want to jump into the next part of the show. And that is when we do our mindful moment, um, which is rated on a scale from 1 to 10. One being the worst day of your life, and 10 being the best day of your life. Can I be below a 1? Can I be above a 10? Absolutely. So, you all, with that being said, today I am a strong 7. And I say 7 because I really have been pushing it this week with just aspirations and things that I want to get done, kind of building the vision about some things, especially the podcast, but also just kind of finishing out and thinking about what's ahead of me as I'm finishing out just my teaching cycle. You know what I'm saying? It ends in June, but what am I going to be doing from now until June is where my mind is at, in regards to still having that stamina and the momentum. And around this time, I normally just get tired of everything. Everything gets on my nerve, which is why I'm like at a strong 7 because later on today, I'm going to be sitting all day in PD, which is professional development. And they're going to be talking. And this is normally like the segment where they in here giving you something else to be doing for that particular time. And I'm just not interested, to be honest with you all. I like to always just be transparent about where I am about certain things. I feel as though teachers already do a lot, and then to try to, as we're winding down, this is what we're getting ready to do. I have another bag of tricks, and my company is really known for doing that. You know what I'm saying? Meanwhile, go ahead and drop your numbers on how you're feeling. on any platform that you are currently on, whether it's YouTube, Facebook. Please be sure to share if you feel led to share. Now, you guys, I want to go ahead and get into that question of today. The question is, have you ever been in the field of desperation? And if so, what did what did it feel like being desperate? So when I think about desperation, it's like being stuck in a fog, panicked, out of control, and scrambling for answers or relief. In those moments, what's helped many and myself is just slowing down your mind in that moment, whether it's journaling, meditating, walking, or even just breathing deeply, because anything that shifts the focus from chaos outside to calm inside. Okay. Also, being able to talk to someone, not necessarily for advice, but just to be heard can be like a powerful move to make. And sometimes letting yourself feel it, not to rush or just to fix what you're feeling in that moment. With desperation, it could signal that something deeper needs attention, something unmet, something unloved, something unhealed. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to be sharing with you guys about this question, but I want to make the question clear. Have you ever been in the field of desperation? How did you clear the feeling of being desperate? All right. Here I go with my 5 examples. My first example, Desperate Times, Deeper Truths is what I titled it. Um, for my example, when I talk about these array of examples, number one, the job you took because you had no choice. So we all have had that one job that we were just like, it wasn't the perfect job, but desperation made it necessary. And I want to talk about the job that I took out of desperation. This was a time when I just graduated from Parkland University, and I went to go work at Walgreens. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have a job after graduation, but I went to go work at Walgreens for $8.50 on the overnight shift, which changed my life. How did I feel? I felt a lot of mixed emotions because I had to make a lot of moves that came along with that because my son was 9 months old at the time. I had to find somebody to watch him. I also had to humble myself and understand that I was not making a salary. Well, it was a salary, but it wasn't my ideal amount of money to be coming out of college with a degree, making $8.50 an hour. What did I learn from that was grit. What I learned from that was perseverance. What I learned from that was solely responsibility and depending on me. And I had the things that I had to look around me is I had my own place. This was responsibility for me having a baby at 9 months. I was going through a lot of different array of emotions, especially with my child's father, especially not making the money. I mean, life had liked me during that time. But the quote that I associate with this example is sometimes survival jobs become scared lessons. Not because we want them, but because we endured them. My second example, when love felt like the only lifeline, desperate for someone to stay, for a text back, for a chance to prove your worth. This could talk about or be about love. And have I ever felt like this in my life? Yes. Staying with someone because you're hoping that they get it one day. And this was me right before I moved back to Georgia. I moved back to Georgia in 2017, and I felt like I wanted to stay, like I kind of wanted to stay with that person. and I don't want to expose their name or anything like that, but I want to talk about it in a standstill of I wanted to stay and hope for the best. And I was like, even though I was moving away, I still wanted to hold on to that because I loved that person so much. That person was the one for me. I hadn't had someone to care about me and adore me that much and just be there for me in every way else but emotionally, which I end up leaving months later because I realized I needed someone to be able to be emotionally stable and strong for me and not it always being about them and me being the strong person or emotionally. So here we go. Desperation in that content is in love. It sounds like begging, but underneath is usually the sound of abandonment echoing. The person that I was with during this time always worked. I worked a lot too, but I always was begging for attention because I just felt like in those areas, when I trace back to my father and my dad worked a lot, what I'm saying? My dad was always on different projects and things like that, and just a way doing his thing. Not intentionally, but just trying to make sure that he was trying to have something tangible. So when I saw that particular trigger thing come up in desperation in relationships, which I was later to unpack years later, but not in that moment, this is what that was based on that quote. Example 3, the last straw, prayer or cry to God or the universe. My moment where I hit rock bottom. Mm, wow. A time that I hit rock bottom was actually during COVID, and I had just got into a car accident. I had really just got a promotion at the top of the year, which was in January. January 2020, my life changed because I literally had to stop working because I got into a car accident. Um, get into physical therapy. You know what I'm saying? I was in a very toxic relationship with someone that should have just been a one night stand. Um, and I end up having to live in a hotel. Moved out of my 3 bedroom home based on my desperation, which led me to bad decision making. That was during COVID. At the start of COVID, I moved out of my home, packed that home up, and went to go live in a hotel. And only a few knew um, that things were going on in the background. I was actually in a domestic relationship, very toxic. Um, And I know like they're like, not you, Marisha LaShay, not you, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm getting down to transparency to talk about it for the sake of when I had to call out to God in the universe, when I had my last straw, which changed my life when a gun was pointed in my face and my life was being threatened. That's how I knew I had to leave. That's how I knew that I could no longer just go alone to get along. Desperation doesn't always lead to miracles, but it always leads to truth. That moment, I knew that I deserved better and I wasn't going to let a man play with me in that matter. So it was time for me to leave, and I was glad that I was able to come back home to Chicago. And I've been back since, working and revamping and healing. Okay. Um, Example number 4, financial desperation and the hustle to survive. Mm. This was me as well because I know that when I was working for Atlanta Public Schools, I was just a para. I did not have enough money. So I would have to get creative in regards to different side hustles. Like I worked 3 jobs at one time. Um, my baby was like always with my good friend Toya, my auntie Kenya, and my uncle Rico. Um, my people in Chicago. While I was down in Georgia, I was flying back and forth. Also, when I was trying to finish my degree or whatever the case, because I kind of told you guys this story a while back, how I had to pay because I exhausted all of my financial aid. Oh, excuse me. So I had to, I couldn't pay to get my degree and to finish out. But it's another story that leads to that, my turnaround and redemption. And here's the quote that goes with that: desperation could strip your pride, but it could also unlock innovation. And it did. I birthed the event planning business out of my hustle to survive and just my desperation to make sure that I was financially straight. My last example: breaking through the shift from desperation to determination. So, touching back off the previous example of me having the event planning business and scrambling to find money for school, this year I will be graduating with a bachelor's that was delayed over 10 years, like 10 years ago, literally. This year I will be graduating, right? And it was because I gained clarity on my situation in regards about it, because I was so down and ashamed of myself that I was holding myself back from so much money that I could have been making due to me not having my bachelor's in hand or finishing due to my setback of a class. And then waiting and waiting and trying to take care of my son and pay bills and do this and do that. But I couldn't, it just wasn't the season. It just wasn't the time. The support it just wasn't there the way that I should have been following the plan or putting plans together, but then doing other things. So today I am gaining my clarity back, my power, and my growth to know how to position myself to leverage my best self. I was desperate, but I went from desperate to being determined, to being calculated, to strategizing. I even had somebody assist me, but I blew that. Just so embarrassing. So many times that I got distracted and just decided at a drop of a hat and so impulsive, which caused to my desperation, being desperate, jumping quick, you know. But I am discovering my dreams, my talent, and my purpose. Desperation is loud, but the breakthrough is usually quiet. So, y'all, in this episode, I got very transparent with you guys. Things that I probably never shared before, I share right now in this moment, in this episode. And that's okay, because somebody listening today is going to be able to hear my story, because I hadn't publicly said nothing. Those around me, I told my story to, but they were shocked because they didn't know what I was going through. They didn't know what I was dealing with until I shared with them, because I don't believe in sharing everything with everybody. Everything is not for everybody. So I hope that you guys learned something from today, what desperation could look like. I'm going to just recap, because we could look at desperation in several ways. One example was being able to take a job you had no choice. Two, the love that felt like a lifeline. Three, the last straw prayer to cry to God or the universe. Four, financial desperation that led to hustle to survive. Five, that breakthrough, the shift from desperation to determination. So, you guys, if you guys fit under any one of those categories, please feel free to let this video stand as a tool of empowerment and enlightenment, and y'all will be okay. You will be okay. You will rise from this. You will grow from this. You will get the clarity that you need, and God is going to bless your mess after you come out of here, because your mess will turn into a message. So, y'all, with that being said, I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. Love y'all. Peace.